recording this meeting also. Warm welcome once again to all of you. Thank you for coming on Sunday afternoon. We'll talk about the case study about rooftop solar implementation. Slideshow. Each of you have registered and you got a link to join in, and you've joined through the link. This session, again, I wanted to mention, is getting recorded. So hopefully at the end of it, we'll host it on the BAF YouTube channel also. The agenda for today is, after my opening remarks and a bit about BAF, we will have a case study presentation by Mantri Greens community, represented by Mr. Ganeshan, Mr. Vishwanathan, and Lawrence. Once that presentation is completed, there will be a BAF guidance, a couple of slides on BAF, by BAF about rooftop solar, followed by Q&A. Many of you have raised very good quality questions. We are hoping to answer them, and the answers will be provided by Mantri Greens representatives. Satish Malya, who is the Vice President at BAF, who was briefly here. I think he's still there while he's driving, but he'll be home soon. And I have Partha also. Partha is the cluster president of our BAF Begur and Naganathpura cluster. So with that, we'll move forward. Brief about BAF. We were formed in 2013. We represent communities from across Greater Bangalore right now. There are about 1,337 communities which are BAF members. More than 300,000 household homes are part of the BAF community network. And about 1.5 million people live or work in BAF communities. We are structured as with a governing council which comprises 21 governing council members, one of which is me, another is Satish Malya also here. We are distributed across Bangalore by what we call as a cluster. We have about 30 geographical clusters, each of which has a president and a secretary. And many of you belong to one cluster as part of this BAF geographical clusters. Our presence in about 298 wards are there of BBMP. In that, one member or the other is present in 180 plus wards. There are a few wards where we don't have members, but we are beyond Bangalore also in Greater Bangalore. So that's a brief about BAF, and we are focused between Satish and me and our Satish's organization. We focus on energy, water, safety, municipal affairs, legal and policy advisory. Since the subject today is rooftop solar, I wanted to highlight to you that we have an ongoing conversation with a variety of agencies who are key in the space. One is BESCOM, which supplies electricity to us. The Regulatory Commission, which decides tariffs, policies, numerous policies, which is KERC, Karnataka Electricity Regulatory Commission. The Chief Electrical Inspectorate to the Government of Karnataka, Department of Energy, Government of Karnataka, Ministry of Power, Government of India, and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. So many of the policies, we have actually had a direct role in influencing, promoting, furthering, improving, optimizing, removing bottlenecks, etc. So we continue to do that, and any issues faced by our members, we continue to take up and look forward. And also we look at things progressively and sustainability being key. So we are constantly in engagement with them. With that, I am going to hand over to Mr. Ganeshan, Vishwanathan, and Lawrence on the rooftop implementation case study. Over to you, Mr. Vishwanathan. I'm going to make you the, I think I'll stop share so that you can, yeah, I've stopped share.
Okay, now I'll share my screen.
You carry it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ganeshan, Mr. Vishwanathan, and Lawrence
Thank you.
for doing this and, helping other communities.
Our pleasure. Welcome. Can you see our screen, Arun?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe full screen.
I've done full screen.
Yeah, it is full screen.
It's full screen. Okay.
Screen. Unfortunately, there is a note coming up at the bottom. I don't know how to.
It says subtitles aren't currently available. That's all.
That is fine. I think I'll leave it at that point. So, Arun, can we remove this, the one which has come up on top? Okay.
Remove what?
No, 1 minute. There's another band here. I'll push it down.
Arun, I think that subtitle will go once you lock that, because in the recording it will come, so you can remove it. You can.
That's fine. I think it's.
I think it's gone, sir.
1 minute. I'll add that. So let's remove this. Oh, there are some clusters at the bottom, but rest of the screen should be visible by
No,
now,
it's
right?
perfectly readable. No, don't worry.
They're very visible.
So thank you very much, Arun. Of course, I mean, it has been a pleasure always working with BAF. I have been interacting personally as well as a community from here. So it's our honor and pleasure to be presenting this. So here we are basically trying to share our experience of having done this. We don't say we know everything, and there are a few things which are possibly beyond us, controlled by the government or other restrictions by individual projects. So I would request you to give attention to that as you go further. So here, Mantri Greens, it is in Malleshwaram. And we will talk about the Mantri Green apartment in general. And we will go further with commercial and technical consideration, how we went about doing this project, implementation challenges, and how we overcame some of them. And then how we have been monitoring and doing operation and maintenance. And next few steps are some of our suggestions, conclusions, and discussion. This is how the presentation is divided. We'll try to complete our inputs in the next 25-30 minutes. So we have been occupying this building since 2008, and we have about 425 families, 1,500 residents. And we do have a lot of energy requirements. We are not talking about individual apartment, but as a community, we have common loads like lifts, pumps, STP, and clubhouse, and so many other loads. And of course, as a community, we are also concerned about how we could reduce our emission and improve the environment or climate. And I think by and large, we would say our community takes pride in being forward-looking and progressive and solution-oriented. And we have also been the co-founding member of Bangalore Apartments Federation. Of course, Mr. Arun has been taking active role in that. And the motivation for solar plant would be to start with, we want to reduce the monthly maintenance fees that is given. And of course, the environmental consideration. And the third one would be to sync our operations and existence along with the government policies. I don't want to elaborate so much into this, but we'll leave it at that. Just to give you a highlight, before we installed the solar rooftop, we had a monthly bill of around 5.5 lakhs per month. What possibly contributes to this bill would be majorly by the sewage treatment plant, which is having something like 6 numbers, 15 HP pumps, and the water pumps for drinking water, plus recycled water to the overhead tank, which is our building is around 19 floors, and lifts, common areas, street and lobby lighting, swimming pool, chlorination, filtration, all those things. So these are all the major loads we have. And this is something which we have been highlighting here throughout the presentation. how we have been pushing for clean energy. Personally, as well as a community, we have been pushing this idea throughout, not only for power, but for other areas as well. What are all the considerations here? Based on the available rooftop area, we determined that about 300 kilowatt peak was possible, not more than that, but we could have possibly gone for less. But we have other considerations, like we have 6 BESCOM meters. We are not again talking about the residential meters. The common load, we are connected to BESCOM through 6 independent meters. Each meter has a capacity like more than 50 kilowatts. Sometimes it could be 60, sometimes it could be 120. It was all above 50 kilowatt. So it made sense for us to go for solar power. Maximum allowed at that time was 50 kilowatt. So we decided to go for 50 kilowatt each. We have some comments.
Except suppose where it less than 50 kilowatt.
Okay. So, but this is what made us look at 50 kilowatt as the individual solar generation capacity. And actually 50 kilowatt was not allowed by BESCOM. We had to slightly reduce it. So we ended up with 49.5 kilowatt peak. To keep the community informed, we are talking about around 25 years of life expectation for the solar panels. And the inverters, which is the second more expensive item in the whole installation, the expected life is around 10 years. Electronics technologies change, and possibly there could be some failures also we are trying to account for. So 10 years is what I would suggest would be a realistic estimation of the life of the inverter. And another important thing I just want to highlight here is that unlike the theoretical orientation of the solar panel with respect to the inclination with respect to the sun and whatever latitude we are in, we couldn't achieve it because we have 6 buildings. Each building has got 3 sub towers. Each one is aligned at different angle with respect to east-west. So we couldn't do the whole thing, and so we have not really optimized our alignment in that direction. So that is some thing which other apartments could possibly improve upon. We had considered an investment of about 2 crore at that point of time, and we expect the recovery to be 6 to 7 years. So I indicated 6 years, but I think it's going to be 7 years with some slight reduction in the tariff by BESCOM. So these are the original plan, but we have now realized it could be happening in 7 to 7.5 years. So this is an overall schematic of solar power plant. Mr. Vishwanath, you want to explain this possibly?
This the schematic is available in BESCOM website. And very simple to see that, and exactly the same way we have arranged the installation. We have installed the same way. So you can continue.
Yeah. So just I want to highlight 1 or 2 points here. The one at the bottom portion of the schematic is what we have already. You can see distribution network from BESCOM, and there is a meter. Let us not confuse ourselves with the net meter or whatever you have. There is a meter, and then the consumer distributed load. That's all exists in a conventional system. So what is starting from the right of this bottom line all the way up to the solar PV array is what we have added as a solar power plant installation. So to put it in
Net meter is a new one.
no, okay. Yeah. So this is the basic explanation about what net metering is all about. Maybe most of you know about it. I don't want to linger too much on this. So here we have represented a house. I'm sorry, it is not actually individual apartment. It is for the common load for the apartment. So from BESCOM on the right, I'm sorry, it's not very clear on the right side. The one which is N is called net meter. The net meter is supposed to be a bidirectional meter. And from the solar panel, we have inverter. It converts the DC from solar into AC. And the AC is fed into this junction point. That's unidirectional meter. So right now, what is involved is to put this bidirectional meter and the solar panels, inverter, and the meter. So this is what entitles to the total project installation. And if you talk about what is net, it is this meter which is actually doing the net of what you import and export. So typically, all these years, possibly we have been only importing energy from BESCOM. Once you connect the solar, there are some times when you would be exporting power. In case, let's say on a holiday, you don't have so much of consumption, the solar power could be exported into back into the grid. Let's say peak summertime on a holiday season, we might be exporting. So this meter calculates whenever you import energy from BESCOM, it starts rotating in one direction, and then there's another meter which calculates the net export you make from the whole system. The difference is what is the net import. That's why it's called net meter, and that is what you pay to BESCOM at the end of the day. But in case at the end of the month, each month they are doing a billing. At the end of the month, your export is more than import. Then BESCOM would typically pay a very small amount compared to what you would normally pay them for importing energy. In our case, it is 2.76 rupees per unit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. That's much less than what you would normally pay for buying power. So my suggestion to the community here would be to optimize your solar installation in such a way that you don't unnecessarily export power and end up with losses there. Basically, you want to optimize. So maybe in winter months you would possibly pay a little higher bill, but in summer months you should try to reduce the export so much, depending on the season. So this is something we have also worked out and arrived at the capacity. This is a very, very high level technologies that are available for solar cells. So we talk about crystal, single crystal silicon. That is at one end of it, but there are further evaluation. This is 2022 figure. At that time, it was like 60, 70 rupees. Maybe it's much less today. And the other end of the spectrum, we have what we call as amorphous silicon. So that was much cheaper, but it would take much larger space to produce the same energy. So I believe that as apartment complexes, we have multiple apartments, and so the energy consumption would be very high, so as to kind of justify going in for the highest cost silicon wafer. That is the only way how I think you could possibly end up with having little expensive, but that is what you would be really settling for. A few highlights here would be that we should realize one or 2 points here. One is that when the BESCOM power is out, the solar inverter also would get automatically switched off. So let us not imagine that when BESCOM power is off, this would be like a UPS and it will supply my load. No, your DG system would continue operating as usual as if there is no solar installation. That is number one. Number two, most of the apartments are quite tall and it is prone for high wind situation during some seasons. So as an extraordinary precaution, we have made sure that the panels are installed lower than the parapet walls on the 19th floor. So I have seen in some installations where they have raised the installation above the parapet wall through some structures. So definitely that has to be checked through a civil structural engineer and all that. We did check in our own case, we did check up with the additional load at the top of the floor, what would be the implication on the structural stability of the building. So those things also we need to look at.
I'm Raja here.
Yeah.
On this point,
Mhm.
for example, in our case, we are looking at raising the height. Ours is also 20 floor. Arun has seen our complex.
Okay.
What the vendor is suggesting is a cement block as a base.
Yeah, we have also done it. So we'll show in
Yeah.
further picture. Just to
So my request is we'll take up the questions and
Yeah, sure. That's why I wasn't sure.
subsequently.
But
that's
I
fine.
can see some chat questions also. Please put it in the chat so that we don't miss out.
It is in the presentation, sir. Just to clarify,
Yes.
the picture. So possibly it is not strewn with all pictures in one slide. I'm sorry about it. In fact, I should also say we had to prepare it in a very short time. Thanks to Arun telling us a few days ago.
no, you don't have to be sorry at all.
Down here a bit.
Don't bother.
Okay, so this is the third point. The fourth point is the solar portion is one part of the story, and the other part of the story is that we need to modify the existing switchgear, whatever you have in your system, to make this new power to get into the system. We need to modify the existing switchgear. That's a bit of a challenge. not very difficult, but it has to be accounted for in your overall budget as well as the time frame. And that involves opening up the metering chamber of BESCOM. Okay, so this you cannot do it on your own. It has to be coordinated with the BESCOM, because you are trying to change out some meters and put some bidirectional meter, change out some other meters. All those things are explained further, but just to caution you, a few points I have highlighted here. So this possibly highlights what we have done. You would see that the panels are
Concrete.
simply supported, correct me,
Concrete.
on concrete blocks. So the concrete blocks are such that in case of heavy wind force, the whole thing wouldn't fly off, and then they are well anchored, and they are not anchored to the ground. Let me clarify. They are simply placed on what we call as a waterproof floor. That is also another thing which took quite some time for us, because naturally once you install this, you may not have an occasion to again remove it and do waterproofing the roof later. So this is something I would always say, take into account this time also in your overall project schedule. Once it starts leaking, then you may have a problem. So this is another important factor. And we would suggest it takes 3 to 6 months. I think BESCOM themselves, once you go to them, they will give a time frame within which you need to complete. So please take care of this also in your schedule. So how we went about doing it within this complex, we had two subcommittees majorly. One is to evaluate technical as well as commercial implementation aspects. So we had a gamut of experts within our residence. One was possibly a lawyer, one was dealing with money, one was dealing with technical. Like here, the team which you see here, we are all technical people majorly. But earlier, thanks to people like Arun and other experts, including lawyers and chartered accountants, we had put all of them in the subcommittee so that we have a wider perspective about the whole issue here. And then, of course, we also referred to BESCOM documentation. We had a lot of discussions with them. BAF has excellent documentation on the website. And we also visited multiple apartments in our neighborhoods, also some other schools and other places where we had evaluated multiple vendors. We also visited some of the locations and we learned a lot along the process. And then the last but not the least is to have an AGM to convince the owners on the benefits. To put it in a perspective, both what goes out of your pocket and what goes to the planet, from environmental perspective. So all those things we had to plan. And I would say just a ballpark estimation, take it or leave it 20% this side or that side. The area required on top of your roof would be around 80 square foot per kilowatt of capacity. Why is this 80 square feet? It is not just the panel area. You need to give space around the panel for maintenance, walking around, running the cables. So you don't consider just the panel area, but we have considered around 1 meter space all around each panel, a row of panels, I would say. So that increases the total area. And then we had also the water tank above that. So we need to little bit align it. We don't say we are totally shade free. Some seasons we do have shade, but we have to optimize the whole area in such a way that at least in summer we get maximum generation. How much can I generate? I mean, I have just given a picture here. It may not be very relevant in this context, but the fact is, BESCOM has given you a particular capacity. You have maximum demand. If you see your bill, you will find maximum demand. It could be 50 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt or so many HPs. That's the cable size they have provided to cater to your load. Naturally, you cannot have a Raichur power plant on top of your roof and then try to pump more than whatever sanctioned capacity is. It's purely a technical point, and BESCOM would insist on that. So that's the maximum capacity you can have on your rooftop. Number two, there are regulations which limit the maximum capacity to 150 kilowatt for LT connections. And HT connection, I don't have the ready number, but you can refer to BESCOM. But today it is 150 kilowatts so long as it's an LT connection. So irrespective of your load, this is what BESCOM will insist on. So not more than that. So we have 6 independent loads connected to 6 independent meters. I mentioned it in the very beginning. So we have decided to go for 6 independent solar, I would use the term sub plants. Each plant is about 49.5 kilowatt. So totally it adds up to 6 into 49.5, which is 297.5 kilowatt total. We call it as kilowatt peak. So peak means when you have ideal laboratory conditions with so much of light intensity impinging on the panel at 90 degrees for a brand new panel, that is the power it would produce. But in practical conditions, it would be much less. Depends on whether you are in the morning or in the evening, whether you are in a particular season, and what is the angle you are keeping the solar plant, and whether you have shade, and whether you have humidity, moisture, whether you have dust on the panel. So many other factors would definitely reduce the peak energy, a peak power you are going to produce from the panel. But by and large, I would say the energy you would produce would be average around 4 to 5 hours in Bangalore kind of situation. So if you install 1 kilowatt peak solar panel, you would get around 4 to 5 unit kilowatt hour. That's the other term, technical term for that. 4 to 5 units per day for the whole year, average. Okay. Okay, so when you do this, naturally, everything is not in your hand. A few considerations or constraints, I would say, are this. So BESCOM to approve projects, because that's the main approving authority, at least in Bangalore. If you're in another city, you need to consider other local things. In case you are talking about a very big plant, then CEAG also get involved. But there is an exemption by CEAG for rooftop plants limited by BESCOM approval. And time to complete, I briefly mentioned about it earlier. And waterproof the roof floor. Safety of personal residents during construction. This is very, very important because you need to move mountains of material through your lifts, possibly through the lobby or your, what do you call your parking area. You need to temporarily store it. You need to take it up. So this calls for some amount of management by the management committee there. And we did have the subcommittees who would continuously supervise both on commercial and technical aspects. So thanks to our residents, we did have an excellent coordination there. So we could continuously monitor and bring it to a successful completion of commissioning. And what we have not considered at this point would be what to do with these panels at the end of the life, which is around 25 years. This is a big challenge, not only for you and me, but for the whole humanity. So not only for this, but all the other electronic material, we all know for sure. So this is an open point we need to at least keep in mind. Okay, the panels are spread across all towers. You can see that there are 4 clusters. Each tower is actually 3 subclusters. This is the picture I picked up from Google, just to give you an idea of what we are talking about. You can see it is almost packed to capacity. So each subsystem is a set of 99 panels. Each one is 0.5 kilowatt peak, 500 watts. So 500 into 19 would give you 49.5 kilowatt. And we procured this panels from Trina Solar, which is also having a local office here. And I think manufactured in China. And string inverter is what we have decided. There are multiple things we considered, but we decided to settle for string inverter, which is a Sungrow. It's basically a US company, but they also have office here. And the inverter is concerned, it has got an input maximum of 500 volt DC and output is 14 volt 3-phase 4-wire AC. Sorry, it's a bit technical, but I thought I'd just share this information for everyone's use. I'm running short of time a little bit at this moment, I guess. Okay, this is basically for the LT side was what we have been talking about. In case you have building on the HT side from BESCOM, you need to slightly change the whole scenario to having a separate step-up transformer and connect up the whole thing on the HT side, which is 11 kV in BESCOM. So this is another picture, a good view of what we have done here. It looks very neat and nice. The accessories that go with the solar panel, one would be basically the inverter. We have decided to put it indoor, though the vendors would say you can have a small shed kind of thing and put it outdoor from pure personal safety as well as longevity of the sensitive equipment. We have decided to mount it indoors. We did have enough space in the roof floor where the stairs end. We did have space, so we have mounted the inverter and associated protection fuses and MCBs, switches in the same floor as the rooftop solar. And you can see the power cable running from here. So the individual cables are coming in here from the solar panel, not visible here, but the inverter converts it into AC. This is the three-phase 14-volt cable going to the substation in the ground level. And this is the substation panel in the ground level, wherein we have made the modification I was mentioning about, changing out the meters and other things. So the other most important thing you need to look at are continuous performance monitoring, operation and maintenance. So I initially mentioned that we had a bill like 5.5 lakhs of bill every month. I'm glad to say, thanks to everyone here, we have reduced the bill to about 1.5 lakhs. The energy saving is around 70 to 75% per month. Possibly in peak winter time, it may get reduced to 60%, but by and large, we are very happy about the overall performance of the system. This is just for those who are looking at environmental effects of this panels, or what has happened the last 2 years almost. We have been.
This is per year, sir, per year.
Yeah, 20,000 trees have been saved, to put it in a nutshell. So this is just a summary of what we have achieved so far. Just first two lines are what we have done earlier, and then this is the total generation we have done so far. I just leave it to your
1
consumption.
year, no,
Huh?
it's only 1 year.
Is it 1 year? Huh?
Hmm.
Per month? Yeah, no, I'm talking about the whole thing, per year. I'm talking about the last line, 715
That is-
units, 1,000 units we have
till
saved.
now,
Yeah, generated. Again, I will leave it to you to read this. Okay, this operation efficiency is close to 90%. I was mentioning, let us say 49.5 kilowatt peak is under ideal condition. We have seen in our system during noon time on a nice summer day without any clouds, we are reaching almost up to 90% of the theoretical capacity of the panels. Winter time could be 60%, 70% like that. So on the commercial side, I'll run through this very quickly. We have invested about 2 crores. Investment was about 25 rupees per square feet of each homeowner. And commissioning we started in July 2022. It was commissioned end of July, but then there were a few things pending. So everything was done by October 22 and made it into a full commercial operation. And we have saved about 66 lakhs so far out of 2 crore. Of course, this is a pure saving. We're not talking about savings on other things. So we expect full recovery on the investment by 2029, another 4 years to go, 4-5 years to go. And by 2047, we expect this to be totally decommissioned. And we might also be aware that the efficiency of the panel compared to whenever it was brand new, would go down by 0.5 to 1% every year. And we have important steps taken for monitoring, operation and control. We have resident volunteers who are putting in quality time and efforts in looking at the performance. And also we have the facility management manager also here. He is taking active role, very highly, I would say, highly interested in this kind of technical affairs. So he's also helping us. And for those of you who may not have the in-house expertise, I would suggest initially, maybe you may also want to go in for a consultant to even do the technical evaluation, making the spec evaluation of the tender, and eventually with an AMC with the solar vendor. That's what I would suggest. And cleaning solar panel is a must. Fortunately, in the 19th floor, we don't have so much of dust, but it's essential, especially in summertime when you don't have rains at all. Every 15 days, we clean. Yes. Every 15 days to 1 month, depending on how good or bad it is. And we have put in place an IP-based communication system, also enabled by the inverter vendor. So everything is available in an app. And we also have a few spare panels in case something gets broken or something. It did happen because of some mistake we have done with somebody made a mistake in handling the panel. And another thing, interesting thing I want to share is that this summer we were a bit lucky. The previous summer we had hailstorm. Nothing happened to the panels, so we were keeping our fingers crossed. So everything was fine. So we are very glad about that. And this is a typical BESCOM bill. I don't want to get into the detail. What is important here to know is that the BESCOM would give two numbers: energy imported, energy exported. The difference is what you have consumed and whatever you have exported net, and based on that the billing is done. So this is the screenshot of our app. We have 6 systems. Each system, it gives you what is the installed capacity, what is the present power it is generating, what is the yield today so far, those kind of stuff it gives. The equivalent hours. So it's equivalent as if it has been running for 3 hours. I don't remember what time this was captured.
12:24.
So it's at the middle of the day. It has done equivalent of 3.5 hours peak production. It has achieved. And we have various. You want to talk about it, Mr. Vishwanath?
You can talk.
Yeah. So this is a monthly energy generated. I'm sorry, this is yearly.
It's totally cloudy.
This is daily. This is daily generation.
When it's cloudy or rainy, we get very low.
Yeah. So you can say which day it was shining bright. Some days it was raining and cloudy. So this gives you a very good idea. And this is monthly. This is the monthly thing, January to December. You would see that the generation peaks in March, April, May time and goes down in December. January again it picks up. It's Shankranti maybe, yeah. And then this is day wise. And at an instant at 12:30, as he has captured, you see the generation basically oscillates depending on whether you had bright sunshine or it was cloudy. So technically on a full bright shiny day, it would form a nice parabolic curve. And this is just a representation of how much power you have been generating. And this is something of interest to everyone. To 2022, prior to our installation of solar and what is happening now today after installation, a comparison of the net consumption from the grid, 47,000 unit we are consuming today. From BESCOM we are consuming only 13,000. So the corresponding bill amount 4,83,000 to 1,98,000 for a single particular system, 1 out of 6 system. So total is something different.
No, it's for
This is for the whole the point. I'm sorry. I thought it's that 47. I'm sorry. So this is for the whole thing. So it was around 5 lakhs here and 2 lakhs today. And I think June month, when we had the generation was April, we possibly, but again in June it has become much less. Maybe it's half a month. I'm not sure. So we have an analysis being done every month, and it is reviewed by the volunteers, the facility management, and it goes to the management committee for review. And we have a screen in our management committee room where live performance of this plant gets reflected every day. Whatever you see here is also reflected here. So this is a summary of what has been achieved in 2024 so far. So this is a monthly total energy consumption, and of which the solar has contributed 60 to 70%. The month of April, it was even exceeding the total consumption. We did have net export from our system. So this is what I said, we have optimized in such a way we don't export too much throughout the year. And this is something beyond our individual apartment complex. We talk about what is going to be saving for the humanity as a whole. In addition to whatever we save, BESCOM and KPTCL would also save 1% each towards transmission and distribution losses of whatever power you are consuming. All right. So this is also another thing which we are not able to project it here, but we have calculated very, very roughly over a year. They are going to save 8,553 units. because we have installed solar plants here. A very conservative estimate. Next steps, what we are looking at, having invested some money, we need to also make sure that we bring down our consumption as much as possible. So we have made tremendous efforts to make sure we have LED lighting everywhere in the common area, and then motion sensor based lighting. So this has reduced our consumption by a great margin. An automated time of day lighting, switch on and switch off for street lighting and other things. And we have also started putting EV charging as a common facility at this moment. And future, we see a situation when the battery prices really come down, we may be able to incorporate battery storage. Possibly we can kick out our polluting DG sets eventually from all our apartments. So this is what our vision is. So at the end of the day, I think as a community, we are committed to affordable and clean energy. So that kind of summarizes our inputs to you at this moment. So thank you very much to all of you, and also BAF in particular. Thanks to our association here who have given us the permission to share this information with you. But I think there's a small disclaimer here. This information is purely internal to Mantri Greens. This has been shared with you just for your information. We are ready to share such information, but please don't publish or share with other common, in the internet or any other thing. So this is purely for your internal use. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ganeshan,
Thank you.
and Mr. Vishwanathan and Lawrence. Lovely presentation too. Could you stop share, sir?
Let me stop sharing. I'm not able to do that.
Okay, I'll be able to do it.
Please, yeah. It says new share, it doesn't. Stop sharing. Okay, I got it.
Okay, so that concludes this presentation by Mantri Greens. The questions we will continue to take towards the end. So brief BAF guidance, some of which is already mentioned. So let me. So key considerations include your choice of vendor, technology, components, not just for ROI, for success of your plant, price negotiations, availing subsidy, ongoing performance monitoring, maintenance, and also in the past year, the tariff reduced, which is what Mr. Ganeshan explained also, which is going to elongate the recovery period. It was higher than right now, what has become 5.9. Please focus your energies towards right sizing and capacitizing your solar plant. Mr. Ganeshan once again explained how many units is an average production per day on a bright day or on an average day. But you can use some of these as benchmarks. These are all approximate numbers. How much space is available to you is also broadly indicated. How much can you produce? You are limited by the sanction load by BESCOM, and you're also limited by the regulation which says per LT meter maximum 150 kilowatt, and some indicator pricing, how much bill you may be paying. This is just a ballpark. If you're between 100 and 200 apartments complex, then your common area bill, overall bill may be 5 lakhs, of which just the electricity cost itself will be 40 to 45%. And that is what we are trying to reduce here by investing capital and producing clean energy. In all of this is going to be a large project, one of the largest that you might be investing in as an association. So please do focus extensively on the contracting part, so that you safeguard your and your community's interests. We may be able to provide a template for the contract. Please reach out to us. Include the design specification, put in all the relevant clauses, if you have preference of choice of technology, brands, etc., please incorporate those. Please evaluate the company which is which you're seeking RFPs from. Scope in any government agency liaison as well as in terms of financing, etc. Please have the vendor focus, provide you that also as a bundle service. And when you evaluate not just on price, but also the competence of the proposer, experience, strength, payment terms, so that you de-risk yourself on that. Subsidies are available. There is a Government of India PM Suryagar subsidy which is available for apartment complexes. It is 18,000 rupees per kilowatt. And for independent homes, which is not really applicable to us, but we have indicated here. But in apartment complexes, it is a flat 18,000 rupees per kilowatt, which is available as a subsidy. And ongoing maintenance is also an important aspect. Please don't leave the installation by itself. Please, ongoing basis, maintain it, treat it, clean it, monitor it. If there are red alerts, please focus and resolve it. Apps are available for you, your services team, to be able to get to know about issues and promptly resolve issues. Yeah. With this, I will focus on Q&A. Unless Satish has to add something, I will jump to Q&A. Satish, you want to add something here?
Yeah, two, 3 points. Okay, good evening, everybody. Thanks, Mr. Ganeshan and team for the excellent presentation. I think most of the things covered. But having working on this policy and solar thing from 2018 onwards, I just want to share some of the things. I think Mr. Ganeshan mentioned about 2 things. One is future steps. The future steps includes going for a storage system. I think that is policy is implemented now from KRC this year, 2024. It is possible to do that, provided you get financially viable. The second thing what Mr. Ganeshan was mentioning about is when power shutdowns in the BESCOM, the grid is also disconnected. So it is not going to the grid. So there is a problem in the sense you may be producing solar energy and electricity, but since it is connected to grid and net metering, this power is not going to the grid and you are losing. And some of the apartment in the city, definitely this problem is there. Example, some 2-3 hours every day, power is not there. It is running on DG. So this we are fighting with the government or lobbying with the government from 2021 onwards. And happy to share that, that this technical issue, technically there is no problem. It can be synchronized with your DG. And you can save about 80% of the cost of the DG what you are running. Because as soon as BESCOM power is switched off, your DG is going to start. So this is possible technically, but of course, government policymakers were not gone through this process. So we were when Ministry of Powers first saying that is a technically there is no problem. We will include this in the next policy. That way, I think from 22 onwards, now 24 in KRC recent notification, it has come saying that you can do some synchronization of the DG set when power goes from the solar. So it means that's a good thing, like DG power, diesel cost, you can reduce by 80% if you do that. So I think, and subject to some CAG approval and all, that is okay. But it's possible, technically possible before, now policy-wise also possible. So it means that if power goes, instead of going to the grid, it will charge your, it will work with your DG, and DG don't require diesel. So this is the second thing. Third thing, I think one more thing, I think Mr. Ganeshan was talking about the air wind. I think most of things we are suggesting in Bangalore is maximum you put it in your RFP 150 kilometer per hour as a standard, because maximum that only will happen in Bangalore. So I think you should consider this, even though your structures are without any anchoring bolt, only with the concrete ballast you have made it. You require some heavy structures because to ensure that no, it is not flying off. So 150 is the minimum kilowatt per hour you should go for it. That is the one condition you should put any vendors when you discuss. These are the 3 points, and most of the things I think Arun has taken care. But some of the things, documents are available in the website of BAF, which is a O&M document, operation maintenance of solar, because this we have put up for the new people who want to go for solar. There's a calculator is available. And as Arun said, we are also going to publish shortly the EPC contract terms. This is all through our experience, because see, I just explained 2 more minutes. I am from Century Saras in Yalanka. We went for solar in 2020. Because of this, we didn't know the limitation of 50 kilowatt, and on those days, only 8 or 9 apartments were in Bangalore were under solar. So what we did is in 2018, we invited tenders, but a lot of things happened and we could not implement it. In 2020 only we implemented. So that time we realized that now people are giving 1 year warranty and people are placing order with only PO, and after 1 year the vendor vanishes. So this was a problem. So what we made is now is a contract terms saying that no, he should take care of this plan for next 5 years. And because of this best practices, we are also able to push now MNRE saying that if anybody avail the subsidy, that vendor should maintain this plant for 5 years. Every quarter he should come and check. So this is the one of the conditions we were able to influence the government. I think the best practices, whatever the BAF has followed, I think becoming a norm. I think we have worked with the government of Karnataka, Energy Department, and the BESCOM. I think they are much liberalized a lot of things of doing ease of doing business, like 50 kilowatt now become 150 kilowatt per meter. So it's a good things it's happening. So I think it's the right time now to go for solar, because subsidies there in place about 18,000 per kilowatt power KWP. And you are also getting some loan from bank. SBI is ready to give for 7% solar loan. So that is all possible now. So I think we can go to Q&A now, and much more you want to know, we can always approachable. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Satish. Very valuable inputs. I'll sync up Mr. Ganeshan also with you, so that DG synchronization, etc., can be done.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've received a series of questions. Sandeep, I have your set of questions. Partha, Flora, I have your questions. Prakash Shetty. What I've done is logically group them so that, we're not going back and forth. Prakash Shetty, Sundarajan Muthuswamy, Professor Rajagopalan, Sritej, Parthiv, Vishwa Venkat Reddy, Gyan Iyer excused himself saying he has some guests, he didn't come, but he had a lot of questions. Pramod, it was nice meeting Pramod yesterday at Climate Action Change, BBMP. Surjit, Natesh Muttanna, Sandeep. Okay, now coming to the focus set of questions. So, Mr. Ganeshan, if you can see this, Sandeep is asking questions about technologies for solar, merits and demerits of each technology, string inverter, power optimizer, and micro inverter. If you can take up this slide and respond, Mr. Ganeshan.
No, I don't have a slide for particular.
No, not slide. Just look
Okay.
at. Yeah. Sandeep, are you there?
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm
Sandeep.
there. I'm there.
I think you're on two computers, I think. So, yeah, Mr. Ganesh.
Simply explain. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think you have to switch off Mr. Vishwanathan's phone, I think.
No, is it on? No.
Please go ahead.
No, it is not. It's not. Can you
Please
hear
go
me?
ahead.
Okay. I'll just briefly explain. No need for any slides here. The string inverters, basically we connect a couple of panels in series the DC supply goes from one panel to the other, it gets connected in series. And so the DC's wires are running a bit along the roof and then getting back to the inverter. There is always a issue of DC being more dangerous than AC. That is number one. Number two, in case it gets shorted for whatever reason, in spite of all the installation practices and other things we do, there is a very remote possibility of DC getting short circuited. That is number two. Number three, because they are connected in string, if there's a shade on one panel, it might affect the whole string performance. So these are all some disadvantages of a string connected inverter. Whereas when you talk about micro inverter, we are talking about one inverter for each and every panel. They all produce AC outputs. They are all connected in parallel and taken to the common system. So in my opinion, my personal opinion is that, yes, I mean, the power optimizer is one thing, and then micro inverter would be apparently better. But whenever you add some complication, we're also possibly getting into more maintenance issues and other things. So we need to optimize between these two extremes. So this is what I think I would always say. In case you have a very large installation, possibly string would be still okay. But in case you are talking about very small apartment and you don't have anybody maintaining it properly and all that, possibly power optimizer or micro inverter would be better, where you have a lot of shade possibilities. But I think if you have a tall apartment complex, the shade is also very minimum. And I think we basically do not allow anybody to go to the roof in this building from safety perspective, both from other human aspects as well as from electrical installation perspective. So we don't see a major problem with string inverter. So that's the reason why we have gone for that. Hope it answers your question. In case it is not fully answering your question, I'll answer the second, third also, Arun.
Yes, please, the entire slide, sir.
Okay. The problem with BESCOM, in my opinion, is that they are not going to allow you to combine the solar and give it as a single feed into the grid. They are treating each meter as an individual customer, though the association may be a single customer, but they treat you as 5 or 6 or 10 different customers. So they are not going to technically allow, but in case they allow it, well and good. I'm not sure whether they do it. I think it's more of a I would say regulatory issue than technical issue. And another small issue we may have is when you club multiple things and the capacity goes very high, you may end up having a transformer there. You cannot pump some 500 kilowatt power into the LT system, technically speaking. So it has to be injected into the HT system. There is another constraint you may have if you try to go that way for very big apartment complexes. So it is easier to connect it to the LT system and leave it at that, limited only by the peak demand you have already signed up with BESCOM. Okay, bidirectional meter. Can I go to the next question? Do you have any?
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. The third one, how solar billing works. I think I very briefly touched upon this topic.
We covered that during net metering.
So if it is answering that, I will not get into the detail. Of course, the individual can always get in touch with us. I can have a one-to-one conversation with them and then clarify them. Okay.
Sounds good, sir. Please go to the next section.
Okay, then from Brigade Metropolis, why did you choose a particular type of inverter? I answered it briefly above. And then number 3, what kind of orientation of panels? I think this was also touched upon. Basically, we do have south facing 13.5 degree. Ideally speaking, it should be even the tilting also should be changed with the season. I mean, that is very, very ideal situation for a very, very large power plant. We do that summer, winter, the angle changes. So all that we do. And then from east to west, depending on the season, there will be some orientation you need to also look at. So we optimize and leave it at that. We don't want to make too much complication here, sending one guy up every season or every day. So I think from apartment perspective, you optimize. You don't want to go beyond that. So 13.5 degree, you make it facing a little bit south, east to west, then you are good. I think that answers question 4 also, incidentally.
Yes.
Answer for question number 5. Did you go for prefabricated or customized mounting? We went for customized mounting structures. We had this cement blocks and they made everything measurements they made. Correct me if I'm wrong. So they cut the thing pieces at site and then they fixed it. Is your roof continuous or different for each block? I think that's a very good question. We do have in each tower, there are multiple sub towers. So
Mhm.
definition wise, you can treat each one as a separate tower, but the inverter is at the central location. The only thing you need to be very careful about is you don't want to have a long DC wire in case you are going for a string inverter. You don't want to have a long wire going in from inverter to the solar panel. So when you try to put across two different towers for the same inverter, that may be a no-no for a string inverter. Okay. So maybe you can have multiple inverters on each tower and connect to a common supply, but BESCOM also has a small comment or restriction. I vaguely remember. I think I need to verify this. They say each block should be having its own independent system. Something like that. There's a clause I remember vaguely seeing somewhere.
That is
I need
true,
to-
sir. Policy, they won't allow to do multiple.
Correct, correct. So that also tells you what it is. And then the next question is
Safe distance.
okay, 7. Safe distance between lightning arrestor and panels. Okay, this is a very, very tricky question. I don't want to get too much involved in this. We do have a lightning arrestor for tower, which is supposed to have a particular radius,
25 feet above.
whatever. But then there are latest IEC standards as well as National Electricity Code, which specify what should be done. This has to be complied with for latest installations. So ours is slightly ahead of that. So possibly we didn't have a problem, but today we need to check up with BESCOM as to what they want to do. So this is something I would leave it to you for discussion with BESCOM at this moment.
And the vendor.
Just want to add, sir. I think BAF recommended some particular thing because regulation says that you require a separate lightning arrestor. They don't want to depend on the existing building lightning arrestor. So in most of the cases now, RFP says that for a new any capacity lightning solar project, you require a lightning arrestor separate, and earthing also separate.
Yes, sir. I think BESCOM, let me tell you very frankly, I don't want to say much about it. There's the latest code, 2023 NEC code by uh, our Bureau of Indian Standards, BAS. That doesn't call for separate earthing for even multiple transformers. They say you should have a single earthing. There's a calculation, there is a method to do it. Whether BESCOM is updated, whether CEIG, at least in Karnataka, I did have attended a meeting wherein they were also there. Whether they are following it or not is a secondary question at this moment. So this is a point we all need to address together. So right now it is open. I will leave it at that. Okay, sir. So
Yeah.
so we need to follow the standards. Whatever BESCOM says, if it is different from standards, that's not correct. That's all I'm saying. Are all panels installed in zero shadow areas? No, no. So this is where we do have optimization things done.
Sundararajan, we covered this question in the previous slide with Sandeep's question.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we can skip.
I think this is best answered, but yeah, this also I covered. So
Yeah,
where,
you covered this, sir.
yeah, where you want to have only AC microinverter, power optimizer when you have shade. A combination should go for. It's not a problem.
Okay, the next broad category of questions is on cost, investment, billing, and returns. Again,
Okay.
from Sandeep, Sundar, and Prakash Shetty. Business case, IRR workings, and payback periods. Sandeep and Sundar, we have just shared some spreadsheet images with you. You got to see them during the presentation. May I request that I share some content with you? If you can just put together the IRR calculator and return it to me, that way you will familiarize yourself as well as it will be useful information back with us, Sandeep.
I just wanted to add, Arun,
there is a
I did
solar
a
ROI
analysis.
calculator in the BAF website. Anybody can punch in anything and you can get the IRR.
Okay.
The calculator available in the BAF website.
That is the pre-implementation, right, Satish?
Yes.
Pre-implementation. Now that we have data for the past 21 months,
Yeah.
I'm requesting if Sandeep can put that together and give it back to us.
But Sandeep has not installed it, right? So it is a pre-installation.
Oh, I'll pass that.
No, I did one IR analysis with the subsidy component updated.
Hmm.
Yes.
My payback period is about 40 months.
Right. True, sir. True, sir.
Excellent. Okay,
On our investment, on my investment, it is 40 months.
Yeah,
got
with
it.
the subsidy, it is now 3.5 years to
Yeah,
4 years.
correct,
Without
correct.
subsidy, it was 4.5 years. So
Yeah.
that's the advantage we are getting for this.
Okay,
IRR comes to about 30%.
30.
Yeah.
Okay. So CapEx versus OpEx model, Satish, do you want to take this question?
Yeah. See, the present scenario, let us go back 3 years, 4 years back. That time, there is a OPEX model and a CAPEX model available as far as KRC approval is concerned. The OPEX, they removed it because of so many other reasons. I am not going to get into it, but CAPEX is the best option as on today, because you are getting some subsidy, and if the apartment doesn't have any fund availability, the 7% interest, I think bank is ready to give. I think Professor Rajagopal has attended that meeting. I think we are pushing hard with the government. There's a banking committee agreed to the government of India saying that they can give solar with a 7%. Only apartment point of view, they are not ready to give because we don't have any collateral. So which I think there's a way forward. I think they are going to declare the plant itself as a collateral and considering it as a association as a MSME, something like that. So work in progress. I think going forward, the loan also will be easily available for at the rate of 7%. So IRR calculation, I think it will also give a little bit advantage. Solar capex is the way forward, I feel. OPEX model is not there. Only reason is your consumer connection as per BESCOM regulation and KRC regulation is in the name of association or the builder or whatever it is. So now because of that, they don't want to get into OPEX. OPEX is available, but it's costly because they are telling that PPA will be signed only for 15 years for OPEX model. And they want about 10% of the tariff for BESCOM for convenience fee. So all this into consideration, OPEX model at present is not viable. So CAPEX is the only option. Other than that, some of the vendors are offering EMI option, saying that will be less than your BESCOM tariff. So there is advantage. But overall, if you see, CAPEX is the best option available now because of subsidy.
Okay. Mr. Ganeshan, can you look at Prakash Shetty's question? Ganeshan?
That. So on-grid system, if on-grid system is installed, which is the case in all our cases, however, solar generated energy and consumed energy from the grid are balanced. Fundamentally, they are not balanced. Okay. In case, let me put it this way. It is like you have some energy you are consuming. Let's say steady energy you are consuming. Let's not talk about any variation here. But the solar energy produced keeps on varying based on cloud and other reasons. If a passing cloud is there, energy goes down. And if the bright sunshine is there, it's a highly, what do you call? Fluctuating energy that is coming in from solar on a typical cloudy day. So there is not a single point of time when I can balance the solar energy with my consumption. So whenever I produce more, I draw less power from the grid. Whenever I produce more, whenever I produce less, I draw more power. And in case I produce really very high, then I start exporting. So here, BESCOM acts like a big reservoir, right? So we draw and it's like two pipes connected to a big reservoir. You are drawing constant water source from there. And then another one you are pumping and taking out. So it's a combination of both. So I won't say at any point of time we are balancing. What they do is at the end of the month, they calculate how much power you have imported, how much power you have exported. The difference is what is paid. For a very typical thing, you may not export any
So
power.
we leave it at this, and you explained about the net metering also. We'll leave it at that, so, because of time constraints also.
Okay, fine. You're already running over
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And installation cost per kilowatt also we've briefly touched upon during
Yes.
the presentation itself. Cost per kilowatt. Finance option we briefly spoke about. Pramod, you're there, right? Finance is available, but there have been challenges with multiple banks not offering it. We at BAF are continuing to follow up and push for finance to be available. hope to see answers soon. But there have been some projects where finance has been available. We'll try and get you connects and see if you can avail finance through those banks. And Satish mentioned 7% per annum cost of finance.
I think Professor Rajgopal is there. You want to add anything, Professor Rajgopal? Because
Yeah,
you are using a
I,
500
as of
KVA
now,
project.
as of now, what the REC, who's a state coordinating agency for bankers, have promised is that they are aware of it. They are awaiting notification or circular from MNRE to do this, and as well as not requiring personal guarantee. That is another thing which is big bottleneck for apartment associations.
Yeah, so I just want to add, no, up to
Satish, we are very short on time, Satish.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. And, Natesh, are you there, Natesh? Natesh not there. Approvals up to BESCOM will be able to give you approvals for Sri Samiksha apartments.
No, now new development, Arun, last circular in the month of September. Up to 10 kilowatt is the deemed approval. That nothing is required. PPA automatically can be signed. Previously, process was there from 3 kilowatt. You have to sign the PPA. Now nothing is required. The vendor will apply to the subsidy in the portal of the central government MNRE. From there, the instruction will come to the BESCOM, and BESCOM deemed approved up to 10 kilowatt. So it's a good move for 10 kilowatt because they want to promote individual and small capacity solar installations. So there's no prerequisite here. Just apply, you will get it up to 10 kilowatt.
Surjit, I can see you're there in the session, and we spoke about ROI also shortly. Partha, I'm going to request our Partha Kundu to respond to Partha's question. Partha Sarthi's question. Partha Kundu.
Yeah, it's me. Can I just explain that?
It's effect of angular position and minimum roof slab
I think we
thickness.
touched upon Arun.
Yeah.
Kindly, quickly, yeah.
Particularly, I'm looking at the loading, how much weight per kilo, because generally these are all roofs. The builder might not have considered any additional load on the top of it. So when we are building it, generally how much we can just go load the roof without any problem. And that is one question. Second question is that you have mentioned that in your block, all the buildings are, the panels aligned to the parapet wall. That means you have got different rotation. By chance, did you have a chance to look at what could be the efficiency drop when the angle changes from the ideal angle? Because you've got all different angles. These are two of my questions.
Okay. Partha Kundu, are you there?
Yeah, hi, Arun. So, I'm not very sure of how, I'm sure they would have done that study there, but certain things are not practically possible, like what he said, that with the effect of the parapet walls and all that, so you may not be able to fix your panels in the ideal situation kind of thing, if you were to have a greenfield, a on the ground kind of installation. So definitely, see, there is a calculation which comes up, which is if you were to have so the straight answer to your question is yes, there is a ideal way of aligning the panels at an angle, and if there is a variation from that, there would be a drop, and then the total the generation that is computed would take care of that practical challenge that you have on site, and then give you a generation capacity. So that's number one. Number two, roof slab thickness. I don't think there is any requirement of that sort. But having said that, coming over, looking at the total weight of your the panel, the structure, and the foundations that you're going to put, and taking a confirmation from the builder or from a structural engineer that the existing slab would be able to take care of that, is something that is recommended.
Any range, weight per square feet, something like that?
I think that's completely depends on the kind of construction, the beam span and stuff like that. There is no one size fits all in this kind of recommendation, because the column to column distance, the beam distance, all that would actually make a lot of difference. And then again, you have different kinds of construction as well. Now you have Mivan construction, which could actually take more load without having to distribute it onto the columns and beams, theoretically. So it's best to kind of get it checked with the structural engineer.
Okay, thank you.
I
For
just
your
want to add,
particular-
sir, here through my experience, there are lot of solar panel mounting accessories available now. Vendors are aware of it, so that is very important that your EPC contractor have a good design for mechanical as well as electrical. Okay, because he cannot just supply a solar and install something like that. There are a lot of mounting accessories are available to take care of this angle issues and other things, to take care of the best optimized solution. So I think it's available. Solutions are available.
Thank you.
Sritej, I don't know what you meant by feasibility, but all of these conversations were tending towards feasibility and assessment also.
No, sir, Arun, what he meant is different. See, the feasibility is very important because, see, every building have its own shadows and other things, right? I think Mr. Ganeshan has told about it. So feasibility is important for any project of this size when you want to invest solar. If your space may be more, but because of shade, different time of the day, your shade may be different. No, so because of that, your optimum production will be less. So when you design, you can design only there is a term called sizing of a plant. No, so that sizing will determine the design of your done by the vendor. So a vendor can do a feasibility study. There are tools available now. Again, software tools only. It will take from your Google map, map your location of the plant, and it will scan it different time of your day and calculate what is the shade available in particular thing, and it will give a space where you can install a solar thing. So these tools are available now. Even I think government of Karnataka, I think recently, yesterday, I think Arun was telling me he attended one meeting in BESCOM. I think they also already want to give free tools to evaluate this feasibility. But feasibility is a must, I think, going forward, because we should know you may have space, you may have a lot of things, but there'll be constraints. So you should do the feasibility before getting into RFP. That's my suggestion.
So where to start with this? So this is Ritesh. So the way you explained, right? This is what I'm looking at basically. Where we can start up with this, like the
Yeah,
first point of contact, is it through BESCOM or a private vendor? Now there are so many things. Tata Power Solar Roof. So many people are mailing. So is there something which you suggest, like go with these kind of vendors who can do this analysis, or
Yeah,
it's like
I'll
randomly
suggest.
we can start up with?
Yeah, I will suggest one thing first. First thing, you take last 12 months of your existing bill, consumption bill, correct? It will give some idea that how much you are consuming it, what is the plan you're looking for, right? If from there you can go back saying that, okay, you want to have this much, so then we can consult any vendor and accordingly can do it.
Okay.
Next is Parthiv. Mr. Ganesh, Parthiv, are you there?
Yes, I am there. I
Uh,
can briefly explain the question.
Can apartments put up their solar? We are talking about rooftop solar only. Will subsidy apply? Yes, it will apply. Is there any specific thing you're asking?
So very specific question. So we are low-rise apartments and we have enough space. After putting all the solar installations for common area, we can provide 3 kilowatt power per apartment. That much roof space we have available. So we were thinking of allowing 136 apartment owners to put there on the terrace as well. But the question was, will it, BESCOM approve such a thing? So there would be like 136 individual meters and 6 common meters on top.
Sorry, I couldn't get your question. You low rise also doesn't matter as long as you're getting sun, you should be okay. Parthiv, what exactly is the question? Sorry, I may have missed your question.
Okay, so when we do the rooftop for the common cost of meter, right? That was around 4 lakhs. We have still enough space left where we can allow the apartments to put their own rooftop solar installations.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
That is a decision your general body has to decide and take, Parthiv.
yeah, but in general, from BESCOM point of view, is that a feasible thing? So it's like 136 individual meters of 3 kilowatt each. And on top of it, there will be a common one, which I assume would be around 150.
The present policy is not agreeing that, because only reason is the roof is not owned by the individual. If it is owned by individual, they will allow.
Okay, and if association gives an NOC for installation?
Might be possible, but that is a policy. They say that you are not owning the roof, so the terminology of rooftop solar is not applicable to you.
Okay. But this is only if we want subsidy. So if I don't take subsidy, then
No, it's not for subsidy, for everything solar. If you want
For
net
application
metering,
itself.
grid application.
Arun, can I interrupt for a moment?
Sure.
See, in case you have multi-story, it means more than 10, 12 floors. Typically, what happens is that for each apartment, the number of square feet available per apartment gets reduced greatly. So that may be just sufficient for common area, unless we are talking about 3 or 4 floors apartment.
so this is exactly what I said, right? We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
six
okay, fine.
floors,
Yeah, I
one
understand.
duplex.
I just want to
We have
clarify that
enough
in case we are
space.
talking, in case we are talking about a 30 floor, 20 floor apartments, typically this is more of a hypothetical point.
Yeah.
You will not have any more space left on for the individual apartment. Second point I want to make is that if everybody, see, when you are giving a right to one person to put a rooftop, technically the AGM also should make sure that you have reserved space for each and every one of the apartment owners to put up rooftop solar in future, right? Whether you have space for everybody, whether you can earmark one space for each of the apartment owner.
I am from the MC, and this is in principle agreed, but we are more
In principle, yeah. So
BESCOM will
second thing is,
approve it.
I really don't know personally whether BESCOM approves it, but I don't see any major technical challenge. You can have to put the inverter and bring the cable down. The question is where they will put the meter is something I'm not very sure. Because here, if you remember, we are putting meters in the ground floor at a location where BESCOM can come and see the generation power in import export. But in case you are an apartment, technically speaking, you should take the energy to the common place where the meters exist, and then again loop it back, and all those things may come up. So the cost of installation may also be proportionately higher. That's a point we need to review. Yeah.
Sir, the KRC, I had a hearing on this. And
Can we pause
and that
here?
is not possible, sir. The definition says that
Let's
you have to
pause
own
here.
the stone.
Satish, let's pause here. My suggestion to Parthiv himself is to explore this with BESCOM and cycle back to us saying, whether it was possible or not. We have not come across this question, Parthiv, because most of us are having short capacity in the rooftop also. So yours is a good situation where you have excess. So please cycle back after talking to BESCOM. Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Vishwa Venkat Reddy, Partha, can you take this up?
Yeah, so the question is whether it will impact or heat up the rooftop floors, right? So on the contrary, this will actually reduce the direct radiation heat during the summer months, and reduce the air conditioning load as well. So it will not heat up. On the contrary, it will actually help cool the rooftop floors. So that's the
Great.
answer.
Great, thank you. Mr. Rajagopal, Professor Rajagopalan, we are about to implement rooftop solar. We want to learn do's and don'ts. Any further questions beyond?
No. I just I two specific questions I wanted to raise.
Sure, sir.
One is in our complex, which is again a 19-story, 20-story complex. The raised up kind of a structure with concrete blocks is a recommended way of deploying. That is attractive to us for two reasons, which I think we need to consider. One is our terraces are fire exits, emergency fire exits for top floor. So if we pack the terraces with solar panel like you have done in your case, the fire exit it becomes a tricky issue. So this raised thing, because 6 feet is the minimum height by which that solar panels will be kept. easily fire exit is available below for people to move to the next block in case of a fire or something, especially people in 10th floor and above. That is one question. The second question is, it also increases the capacity which we can put up in any given limited area of terrace. Because the moment you raise it for 6 feet, you don't need any passages necessarily. You can always give, but it is not absolutely essential. So that is one. Third is the monkey business. What can we do about it? I mean, nothing can be done about it, right?
Arun, I'll answer the first question if you're.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All three if possible.
So the picture looks as if it is packed. We have given 1.5 meters clear space with a handrail kind of thing for escaping from one tower to the other as per the regulation.
Okay.
We are taking care of
Fair
that.
enough.
It's taken care of. Nobody can. They are not supposed to enter the area where panels are kept. There's a separate space for that. So that happens only with one tower because we have clever kind of.
It's okay. As long as you have considered it, it's fine.
Yeah. So we have taken care of that. Second thing, my personal opinion is raised thing. I think it will bring in additional load. Only a civil engineer, structural engineer only can certify whether it is okay or not.
No, that we are checking. That we are checking on the load part of it. We are checking. I'm only concerned about the wind business you are talking about.
Yeah. So no, that is the reason why we have put it lower than even at the cost of shade of the even parapet coming over maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We didn't mind. We thought that would be a bigger worry than worrying about some efficiency improvement. So we have compromised that. And monkey, we did have a problem, sir. It chewed cables. So wherever it got cut, we put a new connector right now. We need to replace the whole wire later. But wherever it chews, it happened only once, fortunately. About 20 places it cut the wires. Okay. It very rarely it comes here, maybe once in 2 years it comes as a family and then they chew it off. So there is a protection for that. We know there are some wire gauge available, what do you call a mesh kind of thing. We can put it over the wires. It doesn't affect the panels. Thank you.
Okay.
Sandeep has asked local sourcing for Sandeep. Can you ask this question clearly?
Actually, every time I'm putting this on, there is a problem.
Sandeep, are you logged in from this? Are you logged in from 2 places?
No, I'm logged in from only one, but there is a lot of noise.
Sandeep also visible. There is one Sandeep and one Sandeep Mehrotra. Okay.
If Sundar is on the call, he can ask the question.
Sundar?
Yeah, sorry, I was in the mute. Okay.
What exactly is Sandeep's question? Local sourcing for available subsidy. Indian, I think the subsidy is available only for Indian.
Correct. It is all about without subsidiary, the business case may not be that viable. Okay. So basically looking for the detail.
Sorry, what is the detail you're looking for?
There is a fear that, see what happened, what we were told by these vendors, this subsidy is not guaranteed in a year, financial year.
No. It's wrong.
No, they told that because the limited budget.
Well, let me explain the subsidy, sir, in 1 minute. Arun?
Yes, please.
See, the process started, if you are going for a subsidy, it is process started with subsidy. You have to apply, the vendor has to apply, and vendor should be approved by MNRE. All the vendor through any vendor you select is not possible to get subsidy. The vendor registration is a must for MNRE. So your vendor you selecting should be a MNRE approved vendor. Then you can apply for subsidy. So your process started with subsidy. You apply to MNRE, that PM Muft Bijli website. From there, they will approve it. It will come to BESCOM for PPA. And after signing PPA, implementing everything, you will get the money within 45 days. I think there's it is much more improved now. See, my project 2020, we didn't apply for subsidy, but still is viable. I am ROS within 4 months is completed. So now I am in life next 20 years I'm going to get free electricity. So there is this is a myth saying that no subsidy is not possible. Subsidy is very much available.
Satish, I agree. See, all conditions are met, but what vendors are saying that now it's a first come first serve basis, and with the cap of the budget allocated beginning of the year, there is a chance that government run out of the budget, subsidy may not come. Since our business case includes subsidiary, we may be in the wrong
So
side.
that is a hassling technique of the vendors to speed up your decisions. In fact, Karnataka government is
We
desperately
can
trying to
connect, sir, one-to-one. We can explain to you.
Sure,
We can
sure,
guide you.
sure,
Okay,
sure.
because
Thank you,
we are
Satish.
attending MNRI meeting, and now from 60 days it has come to 45 days. It can come.
Super,
They want to
super,
target
super.
15 days to give
Yeah,
subsidy.
okay. Yeah.
And
So-
Sandeep and Sundar, government is pushing us to say, please get more installations so that,
Okay.
they can showcase Bangalore as a city where,
Okay.
adoption is great.
Yeah, I don't agree 100%. Only some vendors they highlighted this could be a risk in the business case. We want to clarify because if we put that into the business case, if it is not happening, again we are answerable to our MC. So that's the reason.
Of course, please put both scenarios and present it. You will see it viable even without
Subsidy.
without the subsidy. But okay, we'll move forward.
But the local sourcing is important, I guess.
Yes, local sourcing is absolutely critical for that.
Okay.
The local in the means Indian manufactured.
Non-Chinese. I mean,
See,
India.
because see, most of the good one, REC was the best one in the world, is taken over by Reliance. So it is available Indian manufactured in Gujarat.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay, Natesh, are you there? Natesh is asked, is the approved vendors from BAF for rooftop? There is an MNRE list, there is a BESCOM list of approved vendors, and BAF has its own set of vendors as part of the vendor database. Natesh, if you are there, you can access that, all of these, and look at options for yourself, for your community. There is a question on open access. I request Mr. Ganeshan to take it, as well as Flora. Flora, are you there? Flora, are you there? Okay. So can you talk about open access, which is both from Sandeep plus Sundar, who are together, and Adarsh Palm?
What is it, Sharon? There was some.
Let me ask Satish on this open access.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
See, there are different business models are coming up, okay, but there are very, very few it is implemented as far as apartment is concerned. See, there are possible open access available long back, okay, 2-3 years back this done. Now, peer-to-peer is the what the BESCOM is promoting, means you have excess space available in apartment, you can give to the next nearby apartment. So that is policy available. There are subject to some condition of so many things. I think we cannot, lot of details are yet to come from the KERC. So it is work in progress, sir, for apartment point of view.
Basically what we realized after seeing some calculations, with open access, there is no business case at all because our apartments charges are coming to 5.9 rupees.
Yeah.
Whereas the landing cost via open access from the third party, it will be higher than the 5.9 rupees. So the look like there is no business
policy made for all over India. See, if you see Maharashtra, the power rates are much higher, 15 rupees or 18 rupees now. Okay, so for them it will be viable. So that's what I'm telling you. For apartment per se in Bangalore, yet to come up with any case where they are doing this thing. But policy is there. Yes.
Okay, in Bangalore, it's not a case.
Yeah, it is a problem. Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, next, anybody questions?
One suggestion, sir, maybe in our BAF, somewhere we can mention that open access may not be viable for Bangalore because we started someone through the Googly and we spent at least 2-3 weeks. Then we realized that there's no case.
No, that's what I said. I think we'll put it that even
Yeah.
OPEX model is not viable.
Yeah,
because
maybe
we have to
we.
give- yeah.
Yeah.
10% we have to give to BESCOM unnecessarily, not doing
Yeah,
it. So
correct.
We'll take care. This will take care.
Yeah, please update so that we can focus on one case
Yeah.
rather than we went to almost more than 2 months. Still, we are running around.
No. We'll update that. Open access and the OPEX model we want. It's not advisable.
Thank you.
Okay, Flora has a question about solar water heaters, I think. I don't think she's here either. I'm going to pass this. Gyan is also not there. Will you be able to share generation we have shared on during the course of this? Are there any best practices or critical areas to be monitored? It was also discussed as part of the operations and maintenance, etc.
Yeah, it's available in the BAF website.
BAF website is also available. Now we move to the Q&A chat window. I have a technical question. Partha, did you get your, I think Partha left after, he got his time and question also. Sandeep is saying BESCOM is planning to increase tariffs. What do you say reduction in BESCOM tariffs? Sandeep, the BESCOM tariffs, based on KERC approval, keep fluctuating time to time. Every year there is most of the time there is an increase and sometimes there is a decrease. Last year we were pleasantly surprised as a general philosophy on reduction. Why do you say reduction in BESCOM tariffs? I couldn't understand. But the fact is, the last year it reduced.
No, it's reduced, but the fixed charge is increased. So
Fixed charges yeah, that's the other issue.
No, we are getting screwed royally in fixed charges.
Fixed
Let's
charges,
not
that's
even-
right.
So what in a nutshell, what I think we have to do is solar always is beneficial because you are signing a PPA for 25 years with government. But this 25 years, your tariff is going to increase only.
Yeah.
There's no reduction going to happen. Correct? It's the past record if you see across India. So I think best option now is don't waste time, go for solar. That's what I would say. Whatever possible. So if you don't have fund, you go for 10 kilowatt now. Later you increase to 50 kilowatt, whatever it is. But going forward, this tariff and PPA, if you see 25 years, you can benefit. And ROI now we are getting 3.5 years to 4 years.
Okay. We spoke about subsidy, Sandeep, already. Is it possible for BAF to work with BESCOM to allow RWS to have common solar facility which connects to multiple meters?
That has already answered.
That is already how it is happening, at least in the case
No,
of.
he must have typed it before it was heard.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Very informative. Surjit, Ganeshan sir, our rooftops are having several pipes on the floor and vendor is recommending to put solar at 6 feet, which is higher than parapet wall. So, Surjit, even in the case of Mantri Greens, I don't know whether you saw that picture, it was showing that there were pipes also out there. Surjit, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, sir. I think this question was partially answered as well. Just and it may be a question to a structural engineer who can answer this. The recommendation is like this: that the 6 feet above is required. Similar requirements like fire exit has to be there, and so because of the wind constraints, wind related 150 kilometer is a maximum wind flow means, will it hold steady or is there a huge risk to it is what we are exploring.
Ganeshan sir? Ganeshan?
I think Ganeshan sir has explained in this thing that elevated is required. Now, see, only thing you have to ensure, see, whoever vendor you are discussing, please ensure that minimum is 150 kilo hours per kilo, this thing per hour, kilometer per
Kilometers per
hour.
hour. kilometers.
Or maximum 150, 180. Within this, you are designing your elevated structure. There is no problem in Bangalore.
Yeah.
This is a fact because we have done this analysis with a report from the IIT Mumbai in Bangalore per se, because this is done long back, so I don't have anything now to tell. But there is reason we are recommending all our members that 150 is a minimum requirement and 180 is the maximum required. Don't over engineer also. Depend on your floor, it can be taken care, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So the projects are there at that height above the parapet wall, and there is no there is precedence to it. It's
Yeah,
not-
so many.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sandeep has a very valuable input. In discussion with vendors, we found vendors are willing to commit to minimum supply from solar panels and are willing to compensate for any failure performance shortfall. And this is available for, say, 5 years. Please explore. This is what he suggested. Valuable input. Thank you.
Yeah, the last MNRE meeting which I attended is about 6 months back. And this was the suggestion given by BAF saying that every 3 months they should come and inspect, which is approved now. And in going forward, all the subsidiary project, the vendor is tied up with you for 5 years minimum. Minimum. And he should come every 3 months to your site. That is part of SLA.
Okay.
Okay. Sandeep has mentioned one more thing about open access. Open access has two cost elements, cost by vendor and BESCOM charges, wheeling charges, right? It's called?
So I explained previously,
Yeah,
wheeling
yes,
charges
yes.
and all, if you consider the Bangalore model, it is possible because we are just paying now 5.9 or 7 rupees. But considering Mumbai and other places where the tariff itself 15 rupees, 18 rupees, viable there. Here is not viable for this
Fair point, yeah.
business model. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Ram has mentioned, is the government subsidy for this implementation given upfront or we invest 100% and then recovery?
We have to invest
We have to pay 100%. The payment will come to your bank from the direct transfer from Government of India. But definitely one thing you can do with a vendor saying that, put a clause saying that no, he should ensure that that payment comes in 45 days. So I think it is manageable.
Okay, Sundar has asked on GST for money collected for CapEx, have we included the same in our ROI? I can't be sure in the calculator Satish has.
Yeah, calculator doesn't have the GST component. GST is extra always. So that we have to calculate if you are taking credit of GST.
Yeah.
Not credit. What we were told, let us say there is a capex of 2 crore and collecting from the residents. And we were told that even for money collection, we have to pay the GST.
No, I don't think so. Because it's a contribution from each people. There is no thing. I think we can take one-to-one. We can connect you to some GST expert how to do it. I don't think there's a valid thing.
Okay. So as of now, there is an example of paying the GST for the money collection.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to the capex, right? So there is nothing.
Okay.
No, Satish, we have to be careful on this. There was advance ruling saying that while you may not pay GST while collecting, every time you utilize it, you have to pay GST on the drawn amount.
Yeah, it has come as a ruling for the building painting. So we have to see. I think that's the reason I told I'll connect to somebody who can explain it better.
Yeah.
How to do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Take an advice and then do it. Don't assume anything.
Okay.
Yeah. With that, the Q&A and chat is also complete. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining in. And you will receive a feedback link for this session within the next couple of days. Please do remember to provide the feedback. And this session has been recorded. We hope we will be able to upload this on the BAF YouTube channel also, in case you want to refer it back again at some point in time. With that, I will conclude this session. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you, for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ganeshan sir, Vishwanathan, Lawrence. Thank you, Partha. Thank you, Rajagopalan sir, for all your intervention also. And thank you so much, Satish. And thank you, all the participants.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.